Hello everyone, welcome to the Mathematics MI channel. In this video, we are going to solve this interesting triple integral from 0 to 1, integral from 0 to 1, 0 to 1, dx, dy, dc over phi minus xyc. Here phi we know golden ratio. Okay, first we know here integral from 0 to 1, integral from 0 to 1, integral from 0 to 1. Now here we have a constant phi, we know golden ratio, so I am going to take 1 over phi as a common factor. So we have 1 over here 1 minus xyz over phi times here dx dy dc. Okay, then I'm going to write integral from 0 to 1, integral from 0 to 1, integral from 0 to 1, 1 over phi times, now we know 1 over 1 minus x is equal to, for 1 to 1, so absolute value of x lower than to 1, we know 1 over 1 minus x is equal to sum of n is equal 0 to infinity x to the n. Therefore, we can write here sum of n is equal 0 to infinity. Now here we know xyz over p. So we have xyz over p raised to the n power dx dy dz. Well, then we can simplify integral from 0 to 1, integral from 0 to 1, integral from 0 to 1. Now here we know 1 over phi to the n, here 1 over phi, so we can write 1 over phi to the n plus 1. So we have here sum of 0 to infinity xyz raised to the n power dx dy dc. Okay, then we can switch the sigma notation and integral sign, so we can write here sum of n is equal 0 to infinity 1 over p raised to the n plus 1, integral from 0 to 1, here x to the n dx, integral from 0 to 1, y to the n dy, integral from 0 to 1, c to the n dc. Okay, then we can integrate. So here sum of n is equal 0 to infinity 1 over phi raised to the n plus 1. Now if we integrate x to the n, we know general power rule of integration, x to the n plus 1 over n plus 1 from 0 to 1, then y to the n plus 1 over n plus 1 from 0 to 1, here c to the n plus 1 over n plus 1 from 0 to 1. Now if you apply limit upper limit 1, we know 1 over n plus 1. If you apply c for 0, lower limit we know 0. So we have 0 to infinity 1 over phi raised to the n plus 1 times 1 over n plus 1, 1 over n plus 1 times 1 over n plus 1. Okay, then we can write here sum of 0 to infinity 1 over phi to the n plus 1 times n plus 1 raised to the 3 power. Okay, now I am going to shift the index like n is equal 1 to infinity. Here we have 0. Now I am going to take 1 to infinity. We know here 1 over phi to the n to the third power. So still we can write this is equal to n is equal 1 to infinity 1 over p raised to the n over n raised to the 3 power. Okay, now let's recall the logarithm. We know logarithm of c is equal to sum of 1 to infinity c to the n over n raised to the s. So we can write now here s we know we have 3. Now here c we know 1 over phi, so this is equal to trilogarithm of 1 over golden ratio. Okay, this is the answer for this nice integral. If you like this type of advanced integrals, please subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.